Within the world of facilities management, we know one of the main roles is to ensure that there's a delivery of an exceptional service. Interestingly, when I've spoken to clients to say, how do you assess whether somebody is actually delivering that service, there are two things they talk about. So firstly, they will say, we need to make sure that KPIs are met. Secondly, though, they will frequently refer to the attitude of the employees that are providing that service. And most often they will say, we want to ensure that we've got helpful, supportive and enthusiastic people. And we can all think of our teams. We know the people who will deliver that exceptional service. Whether they know it or not, they are actually achieving the 4 different levels of personal energy that we talk about in the article. So to me, having worked within this field for 20 years now, I think we would be daft if we ignored the fact that we know the factors which will energise people, we know the factors that will motivate them. If somebody can come to work motivated and keen on what they're going to do, their attitude will be exactly what the client wants. A question that we've been asked is, during a time now, especially in a recession, when companies are having to reduce their budgets and spending money on things, surely this is not the time to be spending money on people and sustainability. I would argue actually this is exactly the time we should be spending that money. It's at times such as recessions that individuals start worrying, is my job safe? Am I going to lose my job in the future? Am I going to be able to pay my mortgage? And it's those factors that will stop people from sleeping at night. And if they're losing sleep, they're coming into work anxious, they again, if we know client is wanting good attitude, they're going to start to withdraw a little bit. They're not going to provide that service that's needed. As we talk about in a recession, people start feeling they're losing control. Their job security has maybe been taken out of their hands. They're worried about the impact of that. So if we can start to give them the tools to feel that they're taking back control, then when they're in the workplace, they're going to be able to deliver the basics that we're wanting to. We've been asked, can you actually measure the success of these courses and programs that we run? I think a key point to say here is a lot of companies measure the outcome of these types of programs by purely their absence rates. That to me is fatal. In the world of facilities management, it's the equivalent of saying, are the monthly and the daily checks we do with our buildings effective by purely looking at if the building is still standing at the end of the year? Well, that's madness. We know that's madness. And it's the same thing with our people. What we're really asking is, like the building, if suddenly there was a flood, was it able to survive that flood? We're talking about people here. When there's a recession, do they have the skills to get through those times when the recession hits? So if you're looking at measuring a program such as this, it's really saying, we need to measure motivation, we need to measure have people got through these difficult times. Yes, absence kicks in with that, but it's much more about looking at the person as a whole. You'll have seen that we talk about 4 dimensions of personal energy management. And when I was talking at the Women in Facilities Management sessions, there was a lot of interest in the baseline one, which is having physical energy. And I have a real passion about this because obviously my background is nursing and then I moved into the field of occupational health. And if you actually think about the human body, it's very, very similar to that of a plant. Okay, so if you were thinking about how you'd keep a plant alive, you would make sure it has water, you would make sure there's some light there, it has oxygen, and you might feed it every so often. That's exactly the same with us, but we have a bit of a problem in that we also have a brain. And the brain seems to think that it can overrule the basic needs of a human body. So if you talk to people, do they make sure that they water and they feed it? No, most of them actually, when you say, what do you live off? They will say caffeine. Therefore, I genuinely believe most human beings, not only at work, but also at home, are walking around as wilted plants. They have not got the foundational setup to even start. Now, I personally believe that if you look at those 4 areas, you have to get the physical piece done first. Because if you are walking around as a wilted plant, and then your manager suddenly expects you to do some major project, but actually you're exhausted, you're not going to have the energy levels to do it. However, if you've got a good foundation, you know, your plant is flowering and it's all going, you absolutely probably will be able to achieve that objective that's set for you.